This is Stephanie Abrams, and thank you for being with us here at jetset411. And you can check out my website at sabrams.com. That's sabrams.com, and jetset411.com, where we'll have more information and details related to this program and other important travel-related information that I think you'll find interesting. Be sure when you go there to check out the photo gallery. And in the search engine that we've put on the site, you'll see the search box. You can put in any destination that you're interested in. If we've ever talked about it, one of the 10,000 pages on that website will come up with not only information, but you may find some audioed interview archives of CEOs of travel chains, lots of good information that I think you'll find right from the horse's mouth, the real experts, the people who deliver the travel service and products. And along those lines, I'd love to introduce you to a good friend, Tiki Windsor, whose family has owned Eastover Resort in Lenox, Massachusetts, in the beautiful Berkshire Mountains of Western Massachusetts since the mid to late 1940s. And of course, it wasn't Tiki who was the one who started it, but it was her dad. And she and her wonderful daughter, Betsy, have taken over the running and management and continuing the family tradition at Eastover Resort. And I thought it was a place you should know more about. Everywhere I go, when the subject of wonderful places to go comes up, somebody mentions Eastover and talks about how when they were little, they went with their parents, they went on their honeymoon, they went back with their children. It's that kind of family tradition place that changes its complexion from week to week depending on the kind of special programming they've got planned. So let me introduce you to my good friend Tiki Windsor. Thank you so much for joining us at Jet Set 411.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's talk about Eastover Resort. You know, the history is really interesting. I had a conversation the other day with a woman I met by chance. I was speaking at the New York chapter of the American Society of Travel Agents, and I don't know how we got to the subject of Eastover. I know how we got to the subject of Eastover. We were talking about how we broadcast from the Berkshire Mountains, and this woman in the room, whom I'd never met before, said, "Oh, you know, we used to go to a resort there." And when I asked which one, she said Eastover, and she talked about how she and her sisters and brothers and her parents used to come up in the summers and in the fall, and went on and on. And I said, you know, I have to tell Tiki about that because this happens everywhere I go. But you have a property that is unique in terms of not just your family history, but history on the property in the form of something that really should be a landmark. Something that was bought from the Sears catalog and sits on the property in the form of prefab buildings that came, that really should be a historic site by itself.
We say Eastover is a time warp, and that it is. We have we're a very simple resort, all-inclusive resort. The first buildings that my dad added to the resort, the main building of the resort being a formal Georgian mansion, were prefab Sears and Roebuck cottages, and that's where our guests stayed. There are 4 of them. They were put in 1949, and I guess you'd say they are historic pieces in and of themselves. They really are.
I mean, that's Smithsonian level stamp of approval kind of.
I think you're right.
That really is a slice of Americana. But you mentioned the mansion. That property was originally built to be, was it the summer home, or were the people going to live there year-round?
Summer home. Lenox was considered in its day, from the last half of the last century through the 1920s, as the inland Newport, Rhode Island. And there were many millionaires who built summer cottages in the area, Eastover being one. And it was built by Harris Fonstock for his family of 5. They had 65 servants to wait on them. And so that was the main building of the estate, along with a stable and a chauffeur's home.
600 acres.
And 200 at the time. We are now a 600-acre resort.
That's where I got the 200 from.
Yes, you're right.
Because once before I said 200 acres, you said no, 600. So it was 200 originally.
200,
and then,
yes.
all right, now I know where I got that from.
Yes, that's right. So the resort opened in 1947 and as a resort for single people, and has continued and grown from that point. We do couples weekends, family periods, weekend weddings, and so forth.
Well, we're going to delve into all of that because I want to talk about that special heritage room on your property as well. We'll be right back talking with Tiki Windsor from Eastover Resort in Lenox, Massachusetts in the beautiful Berkshire Mountains. This is Stephanie Abrams. Stay with us at Jet Set 411.